Keywords help us swim in the deep waters of blue, energy, and the broader environmental humanities. Their proliferation in this contemporary moment speaks to a growing awareness that ways of knowing need radical expansion and intentional speculation, just like they did in Raymond Williams's time in the 1970s with the publication of his seminal book. Keywords are portals of historical discovery. They are peepholes that help animate ecological entanglements in historical processes. Keywords are also the anchors of what is by now a wide-scale humanistic interference in sustainability discourses. This interference, this literary interruption of the sustainability status quo, I think, is vital. The co-optation of sustainability by science and industry is an extinction narrative. Stupefied by shadows, punch-drunk on naivete, bewildered by unintentional consequences, co-opted by techno-feudal greed. We, from the underfunded side of the campus, cannot, should not wait for science and industry to complete their training in critical thought. Keywords can aid burst the bubble of instrumentalized sustainability discourses. Let us not worry about the future of the humanities. Keywords can help us navigate the reasons why the humanities are, as they have always been, survival manuals for thrivable futurity. It is towards this futurity that my choice of keyword gestures. The word in question is sediment. It is a word that seems terribly unsuited to a migrant like me, whose life continues to unfold across 3 continents. I have always been adrift and remain quite untethered to the notion of national identity. Perhaps that is why the locational stillness suggested by sediment is alluring to me, personally. Nonetheless, sediment can gesture towards the discursive arena of the new earth of the Anthropocene, the one handed down to us as a deconstructed human artifact. The earth in this schema is a financialized globe and a technological orb to be managed, a planet to be saved. This is our political heritage, but one that this word sediment we will see unsettles. It was an important word from the earliest known examples of geological thought. In the early modern period, as scientists were doubling over to align creationist theories with scientific ones, sediment pointed to the earthly remains after the deluge. William Whiston, an English physicist who inherited the professorship of mathematics at Cambridge University from Isaac Newton, proposed a Newtonian revision of the Cartesian theory of the Earth. In his new theory of Earth, he notes that our upper Earth is factitious and composed of the sediment of the waters of the deluge. By 1860, as glaciology was gaining common ground, J. Tyndall, in his The Glaciers of the Alps, wrote that the snow gradually wasted, but it left its sediment behind. In these iterations, the earth is sediment, the thing that is left behind after the soggy squelch of watery and icy turbulence. Fresh ground that invites historical and biological actors to thrive, stuff that animates the theatricality of ecologies to come. Sediment as new earth, the ground left behind, might also appear at first glance to be terribly unsuited to the aqueous deep of the blue humanities. Sediment in these invocations is conceived as a topographical commons for a post-Lapsarian, post-glacial unfolding of human history. But what if we were to see sediment as the mineral complex to which modern-day stratigraphers return, as if to reimagine the moment of Holocene hubris that tips us over to the Anthropocene? Such sediments remain underwater. We are returned to the deluge and its dregs, as it was the case for Francine McCarthy, who located one of the most promising sites to find the golden spike of the Anthropocene in Lake Crawford in Ontario, Canada. Many of us will know what a golden spike is. It is a universally recognized geosynchronous reference point to mark the lower boundary of a stage on the geological timescale. A golden spike is a geological horizon line. In technospeak, a global boundary and stratotype section and point. Sediment is the dispersed archive of the Anthropocene. Its records are best preserved when they are waterlogged. I learned that Crawford Lake is a macromictic lake in Ontario. Its top and bottom layers never mix due to the ratio of its depth, which is 24 meters, to its surface area, which is 2.4 hectares. This makes it an unusually precise library of times past. Calcium deposits, for example, and carbonate ions from surrounding rocks crystallize into small calcite crystals when the water is warm, gradually sinking to form a distinct white layer at the lake bottom each summer. This grants researchers an annual calendar going back millennia. Sediment layers a complete inventory of industrial civilization's residue. This is a gruesome story, a palimpsest of chemicals and minerals, fossil fuel byproducts, plutonium from the 1940s, nuclear tests. Crawford Lake sediment core also shows a distinct white layer from 1935, the detritus from dust storms in the wake of the Great Depression and accompanying droughts. Sediment is the earthly equivalent of ice core samples. The auguries in Crawford looked promising. As we can see, the lake itself is shaped like a human footprint. But even such divine symbolism failed to fascinate the empirical grey cells of geologists. The Big Bang of a geological epoch went bust in the hallowed halls of scientific rigor. I learned in February 2024 that the Subcommission on Stratigraphy voted down the proposition altogether. The Guardian headline read like a wicked joke at the Oscars. Quest to declare Anthropocene an epoch descends into epic row. The epic of the Anthropocene is to be rewritten. Perhaps it is an ongoing event. Sediment digs deep. It speaks of the past. How might its temporal relationship with history be transcribed in the present continuous tense? Since Holocene history has not had the time to petrify into rock strata, I suggest that the new Earth of the Anthropocene also produces a novel version of thinking about sediment in a post-Holocene era. If we cannot yet petrify, we nonetheless animatedly pulverize. Human history can be read as a continual process of combustion and pulverization, matter into detritus, foreseeing an ongoing sedimentation in lake beds such as that of Crawford. Sediment, I think, is the metaphoric substrate of history. It sits alongside the metamorphic strata of geology. Ecologies bend towards the poetic. Alternatively, ecosystems are bent by the political. Every industry and every technology that supported that industry was first an idea. Sediment is how ideas get archived, carrying the traces of fossil-fueled concepts, settling down as chemically narrativized, storied matter. The common saying in environmental circles, humans are a storytelling species, finds its granular expression in sediment, a substack of human history. Promethean fire found its definitive expression in the steam engine and the internal combustion engine, turning human history towards the Anthropocene. The hydraulic drill is the technology that allowed those expressions of ideas to take shape. The drill is, for me, one of the archetypes of the age of oil, encapsulating temporal and spatial dislocations characteristic of the stuff that it dredges up. Ironically, the drill is also central for climate predictions. It allows ice cores from the cryosphere to be read to make the deep past visible. Drills displace surface temporalities and make historical sediments accessible. open to postmodern scrutiny, postmodern consumption. Drills are erosion accelerators working at non-human velocities, prosthetics to read ice cores, and taxonomize sediment cores to determine the origin moment that sets the age of the human into motion. The drill as a tool for epochal definition, as it were. Sediment is a matter of epochal significance. We cannot think of sediment without acknowledging the drill, the borer, the corer, leading the charge for everything from fossil fuel extraction, seabed exploration, the pillaging of mountain sites for petrified organic matter, coal. What is coal in the mountainside, petroleum is in the seabed. Sediment connects the blue humanities to the energy humanities to the broader environmental humanities. In the oceanic world, the drill reaches into Hadean sediments to suck up gelatinous and granular remains of plant and animal matter from carboniferous life. Sediment can turn tenaciously viscous here, but the drill is more tenacious still. Such stuff as the poetry of the Anthropocene, as in Juliana Spahr's gut-wrenching poem about the Deepwater Horizon catastrophe. It is dynamic positioning that allows a semi-submersible the ability to hover there over the well. It is a 36-inch tube, a casing that extends down to allow the drill and bit to be rotated there. The drill then spudding in the seafloor, dark and giving way. Let's dig down and end with Spahr's words, taking the language of empire's inexhaustible appetite for exploration, encapsulated in the phrase dynamic positioning. Spahr reforms it into a language of diligent scrutiny of the sedimented layers of deep ocean. Boring through the dark depths of submarine life, Spahr casts a critical light on empire's empirical jargon, which is actually meant to obfuscate reality. Empire and science love the language of light, but both operate in shadows. Spahr's poetry turns that Enlightenment grammar on its head. It goes down deep, all the way to the seafloor. It turns out that sediment is not only an archive, but also an accelerant of the Anthropocene. And I'm going to end here with the final passage from Spahr. Buoyancies, mixes of cements, currents, claims. Humans, bowspring, top plug, shoe track, float shoe. I could go on and on here calling the new muses of innovation. Common vocabulary that covers over the elaborate simplicity of this. This well, Macondo well, was drilled by Deepwater Horizon, and it went through 5,000 feet through the abyssal zones. The epipelagic with its sunlight, the mesopelagic with its twilight, the bathypelagic with its midnight. Then, where the sea meets floor, the deep ocean, a blowout preventer, there with the fish, the darker fish, the large detritivores that feed on the drizzle of the molted exoskeletons, the carnivores, snipe eels, big lanternfish, and zooplankton, corals. Thank you.